logo at 77 West Broad Street, Unit 1C. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Bethlehem that a certificate of appropriateness is granted for the work. Resolution 11F is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. William Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolman.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchev.
Aye.
6-0 passes.
11G, certificate of appropriateness for 450 High Street.
A certificate of appropriateness under the provisions of the Act of the Pennsylvania Legislature and Bethlehem Ordinance, whereas it is proposed to construct a new brick parking area, garden walls, pergola, and brick walks at the rear of the property at 450 High Street. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Bethlehem that a certificate of appropriateness is granted for the proposal. Resolution 11G is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. William Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolman.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchev.
Aye.
6-0.
11H, certificate of appropriateness for 437 Linden Street.
A certificate of appropriateness under the provisions of the Pennsylvania Legislature and Bethlehem Ordinance for a proposal to remove and replace both the rear porch and front entry hood at 4 through 7 Linden Street. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Bethlehem that a certificate of appropriateness is granted for the work. Resolution 11H is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. William Reynolds.
Comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolman.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchev.
Aye.
6-0 passes.
Chair will accept a motion to add Resolution 11I from Mr. Reynolds, seconded by Mr. Evans, to the agenda. I ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion and to read the resolution, please.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolman.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchev.
Aye.
Whereas the city desires to undertake the South Bethlehem Greenway Extension Project from East 6th Street to Saucon Park and desires to receive a grant from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Now therefore be it resolved that the grant agreement signature page may be signed by the mayor if the official grant agreement signature page was signed prior to the passage of the resolution. The grant of authority applies retroactively. The grantee will be bound by the grant agreement and any amendment. Resolution 11I is sponsored by Eric Evans and J. William Reynolds.
Comments, questions? Mr. Carp, just to respond to some of the questions that were raised. Who wants to handle it? Mr. Kelly? The cost, the match, identify the match.
The match will probably, it looks like it'll be a match of CDBG funds and capital dollars.
And the cost?
$200,000,
Is there any requirements for the match?
other than having the money at the time in which the agreement is signed.
And the source will be CDBG.
And capital dollars.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Dolan?
You're going to be using CDBG dollars that are already, that we
Well,
have this year?
We would reallocate them. We're going to do our action plan. By the time this application comes before you and is potentially approved by the DCNR, we would come back before you guys this summer with our action plan anyway.
That sounds good because we don't really know what's going to happen with CDBG
No,
next year.
it certainly is a question that remains out there, but this is to get the ball rolling. The deadline is Wednesday, and if we don't ask, the answer is definitely no. So,
Got it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Please call the roll. Mr. Mayor, did you want to make a comment? No, sorry. Please call the roll.
Mr. DiGiacinto.
Aye.
Ms. Dolman.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Mauer.
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds.
Aye.
Mr. Donchev.
Aye.
6-0 passes.
We'll move to new
Mr. President,
business.
I have a question if I might.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I had to take the call and step out of the room. I understand there was not a second or, a signing for to put the a resolution A on the agenda. I just need some clarification as to what that means. Because right now, there is a resolution by City Council for the vote of 5-2 dating back to May 2008 to remove the left-hand turn lane and to restore parking to Wyandotte Street. That's what we're attempting to do. We're following the resolution and the motion of council. So is the fact that this did not receive a second or any sponsorship, does that mean that we should stop?
Mr. Spadoni?
There was a resolution on council's agenda enumerated as 11A. That resolution did not receive any sponsorship whatsoever, and the rules of council require 2 sponsors. So that resolution
I understand
fails.
that.
I understand.
Okay.
I think I need to speak with Mr. Spurk and council about where we're at as a result of that. But what I'm reporting is that for this evening, there is no action on 11A.
Because we need to know to continue to pursue this. McDonald's deserves to know what their fate is, and I don't want to be accused of not acting on one of council's resolutions.
Frankly, I need to review this because our clerk has prepared a summation
I have.
of what has happened in this case and what the resolutions are. We need to look at that and then report back.
What I would ask Solicitor Spadoni, along with Solicitor Spurk, is to meet before our next meeting, since we just received this memorandum today from the attorneys for McDonald's, and get back to us prior to our next meeting. Yes?
So we should just be on hold till then?
Yes. New business, members of council? Mr. Maurer?
The Human Resources and Environmental Committee will meet on Thursday, April the 28th, 2011 at 7 p.m. in Town Hall on the proposed Human Relations Commission.
Thank you. Any other new business, members of council, committee announcements? We will move to item 13, courtesy of the floor for public comment on any issue with a 5-minute time limit. Ms. Plakatoris?
Good evening, Yvonne Placateris, East Penn Sanitation, 4687 Hanoverville Road, Bethlehem.
Thank you.
We're a 30-year-old hauling company. I've been with the company 21 years, and this is the 4th time I've stood before Bethlehem Council to ask why are we back to contract hauling. I'd also like to let council know that I personally am a customer service person in our office. I've never once been notified by the city of Bethlehem that my customers have complained. I've been notified directly by my customers, and I've instantly gone out and resolved the problem with my customers. I'd also like council to know that over the last 24 months, many of my customers have called me saying, please help. I can't afford my trash bill. What do you have that will help me? And I'll say, I have this for you, and I have that for you. That's called choice. What will the city do with the single resident, with the single senior for trash hauling? Make them pay the same as a family of 6? We are able to do that for our customers now. Give them a choice, help them with their budgeting, extend them credit, sometimes as many as 12 months out, if I know their financial situation. Will your trash contract do that for your residents of the city? I have a lot of experience, 21 years. It won't. It won't serve the people. It may serve your budget, but it will not serve your people. My company sponsors Celtic Fest. We provide trash removal service in excess of $7,000 for that festival, free of charge to Celtic Fest. Free of charge. Will your contract hauler do that? Will they participate, support local businesses? Maybe. Maybe. But I don't think to the extent that the 2nd and 3rd generation haulers standing in this council building have and will continue to provide to the city of Bethlehem. So I implore the council to think about your choice here. These are difficult economic times. There are people that depend upon their trash hauler to help them through financial times, with our services. There are businesses that depend upon us to support them and buy goods and services from them. We're small business. We are struggling. We need council's help too, and we're also members of this community. So please, council, consider this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? The gentleman.
Good evening. My name is Ron Carr, and I'm a principal with Dewey Engineering in Bethlehem. And I just wanted to speak tonight a little bit on behalf of Arif Fazil, who was up for nomination for the Planning Commission and was voted down. And I want to just start by saying I'm not here by any means to try to encourage a revote or anything like that. I'm seriously just here to express our point of view and to hopefully create an atmosphere that would be beneficial to some other design professional down the road in a similar situation. I don't question that you voted the way you believe was in the best interest of the city a few weeks ago. But I believe you probably didn't have some of the important facts upon which to base your decision. As you know, BASD is one of our most loyal and valued clients. But the reality is that our work with Bethlehem School District amounts to a small percentage of our client base in annual billings. The last time Arif or anyone from Dewey Engineering was in attendance at a Planning Commission meeting on behalf of the Bethlehem School District was 2007, which was over 3 years ago. We have a great respect for the Bethlehem School District, as well as our many other school district clients that extend far beyond the Lehigh Valley, as well as our industrial and commercial and municipal clients, our New York City clients, and our many other clients. And we strive to serve them to the highest degree possible, but we're not beholden to any of them. The concern I have about the implications of council's conflict of interest conclusion is that it would disqualify a whole group of professionals that are specifically qualified to review plans and provide added expertise to a planning commission. In reality, the percentage of Bethlehem School District projects that have come before the Planning Commission compared to the overall number of projects the Planning Commission reviews is minor. And the potential for a conflict of interest issue is limited. However, when a conflict does arise, it can be easily addressed by having the professional recuse him or herself from discussion when a client's project is up for review. To disqualify someone who has lived in the city of Bethlehem for 25 years, maintains a business in the city, simply because he has professional relationships with clients in the city, is to essentially disqualify most, if not all, engineers and architects that reside in Bethlehem from serving. I don't believe this is in the best interest of the city. Arif is a very insightful, sound, and works exceptionally well as a team member. And he served with commitment and professionalism on the LVIP board, and I believe he'd be an exceptional member of a planning commission. If I may offer a suggestion in the future, in the best interest of both the council and the party involved, when questions regarding conflict of interest arise, obtaining the solicitor's opinion prior to voting may be helpful and in everyone's best interest. And certainly when raising a question that there is a conflict, there should be adequate research and review performed of the facts. I know that most professionals, and Arif in particular, would not have accepted the potential nomination if he believed there was a conflict of interest. Thank you very much for affording me the opportunity to express my concerns. Please know that I express them as a longtime business owner, very, very pleased to be a part of the city of Bethlehem and excited about the tremendous improvements the city continues to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Diane?
Robert Cunning, 2830 Linden Street. It's time for my quarterly SAMS revenue report. Gave you 4 charts. I'd like to go through them very quickly because I think pictures sometimes speak louder than words. First chart, headed up weekly GTR, average GTR, etc. The solid blue line that goes across at about 44,000,009 is my calculation of the weekly gross terminal revenue, which will be necessary to average out to that number in order for the budget expectations for 2011 are met. Remaining 3 quarters worth had not been determined up to this point. The red line is actual GTR on a weekly basis, and the green line is an arithmetic average computed weekly as we move forward. So as you can see, after we got through a disastrous January, we moved above the blue line with the green line, and that's a good thing. Second chart, Sands weekly slots GTR 10 versus 11. There I'm just trying to give you some historical perspective on what has happened this year so far as compared to the comparable week the prior year, at least close to the comparable week. And as you can see, as I said, January was very bad. Gaming Board noted that when they released their monthly report last time. Commonwealth-wide it was bad, but we have pulled ahead as we have gone through the rest of the quarter up to today, or through last week. I should note, just for those who are so inclined, if you average out or look at the total GTR for 11 since the beginning of the year versus 10, there's been about a 3.72% increase. If you remember some of the discussions regarding table games, companion play is supposed to cause between 3 and 5% growth. So this growth over year to year may be very heavily dependent upon companions of table games players. Moving on to the third chart, Sands monthly table game revenues. Again, the blue line that goes across is the budget average gross revenue on a month basis would be needed to attain the host fee as budgeted. Red line is actual. You can see the green line is significantly above, which means the table games are doing better than was originally expected. Fourth chart just brings you back to something which happened when Act 1 was passed, enabling table games. The House put a financial note on indicating what was the expected average win per day per banked and non-banked tables. Remember, non-banked is poker, bank is everything else. As you can see, as we have moved from the initial days, the green and the red lines, which are actual win per day, have exceeded. Poker's dropped a little bit, the green line, because they added poker tables, but again, it seems to be stabilizing. Which brings me to the bottom line. The city should be receiving, or may have received in the next few days, funds from the state totaling $1,308,045.41, according to my calculations. That would be the distribution of the host fees, table, and slots. If you combine that with the first quarter, which included the catch-up, we've got $6,405,000 having come in versus the $8,750, $8.75 million that was budgeted. So by the end of this distribution, about 73.2% of your budget for the year will have been received. If things continue at the same pace, I am guesstimating that the total host fees for the year will exceed $9 million, which is about $225,000. Remember the leasing ordinance? That means early November. Put it in your smartphones. You better be getting something from the administration about how do we spend this $250,000. In the time remaining, I did attend the Gaming Congress down in Philadelphia end of March. Started out with a conversation with Bob DeSalvio saying, hey, when are you going to host this event? He said, when we open the event center. Recent announcements have been that that is coming very quickly. I left the conversation when the two gentlemen who run the Gaming Congress approached him with the same question. He's there on business, I'm there for pleasure. During the panel discussions, someone asked him what is going to happen when the aqueduct track opens at the end of the fall with their 4,000 some VLTs. He said, we really haven't penetrated the slots market there, probably not a problem. Final thing he mentioned during his presentation, that 50% of the revenue comes from out of state. Watch out what gas prices do to your discretionary travel and spending.
Thank you. Mr. Antalix, then Mr. Rodriguez.
Stephen Antalix, 737 Ridge. I reserved the comments I make now for this second courtesy because I didn't want to impose upon the comments of Mr. Grubb on the earlier. And the comments I'm making now could have served back at the first comments based upon the McDonald left turn. Some years back, one of the local papers felt proper to publish an op-ed concerning exactly the site of McDonald's. And years back, as some of you are old enough to remember, coming on Wyandotte Street, you saw a glow at the 5 points. That glow was subject to the Christmas lights, welcoming visitors to the city of Bethlehem, to the Christmas city. That scheme was discontinued back in the 60s when there was a power shortage in the United States, and this extensive lighting of the city was dramatically diminished. That glow is there again. And as you proceed down from Wyandotte Street, the glow doesn't welcome you to the Christmas city. The glow welcomes you to the fact is that you find out very quickly how many hamburgers McDonald's has sold worldwide. The fascinating thing, I did some research, is that the historic district of North Bethlehem is based on the far side of the street, the curve to the far side of the street. The historic district of South Bethlehem, the historic district is the middle of the street. Had it extended to the far side of the street, McDonald would not have been allowed in the historic district. Interesting. So, what I'm saying is that if the left turn is diminished and the business starts to deteriorate, the best thing that can happen to the city, since that site of the 5 points is the western limit of the historic district of South Bethlehem, for those lights to slowly dim and disappear would be a great service to the city, and McDonald would quietly disappear and disappear in the night. So Bethlehem could go back to its historic origins. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez?
Point well taken. Eddie Rodriguez, 1845 Linden Street. Mr. Antalix, you're right. Mary Pomgras, you're right. That lady in the background, she's right. First of all, single trash haulers. You know, that don't make no sense. It is a matter of choice. And she's worked for 21 years for East Penn, correct? When I used to go to East Penn, and when I see the people that are employees of East Penn, first of all, there's safety there. That's number one. They're clean. You must wear a hard hat and something to indicate that either green, yellow, but some type of a getup that you are visibly seen within the site. That's safety. That's concern of the resident. Now versus that of the employees and their trucks, they are clean. They are painted. Very visible, because I know some of the people that work for this company, with all due respect, and they clean up after each other. I don't see that happening with other trash haulers, and that's what disturbs me. Now, I'm not going to name them, but I could, but I won't. But as far as this company goes, A+. I don't agree with that And then you're gonna put companies out of business, which is the other thing. People that have been there for all, you know, as a matter of choice, if they had that company to deal with, you're gonna put them out of business after so many years. Because someone decided they want to be able to contract one single hauler. That is ridiculous. And Eddie Rodriguez said it, that's right, because I can't, this is my time. And you know, I got the ultimate mouth here. The ale house in the Five Points area, it's a horrible sight. Mary Palmgrass, you're right. It's a horrible sight. How can anybody, with all due respect, you know, allow this thing to happen? The first thing that you see in the Five Points area is that horrible ale sign, a barrel, that the debris, the bricks, the fire escape, nothing is painted. That's ridiculous. How come nobody pays attention to that? How come nobody puts hardly any restaurants in the Five Points area? Why would they want to put a bank there after all these years? Why was the president of the Planning Commission at one point in time, with all due respect, and I'll say it, the owner or co-owner, whatever, of the Five Points Getty? Why was that allowed to happen? I've said it myself, it was a conflict of interest. Why was that allowed to happen? I questioned that at the Planning Commission. I had no answer. I question it now and I still won't get no answer. Because that's the way it is in this city. You make a request and you don't get no answers. And that's the horrible sight here. And it's not about trash hauler. The horrible sight lies when you make an ordinance and the law, it is not followed through. That's the horrible sight. See? And regarding, the mayor said that back in 2008, there was a 5-2 vote under a resolution that they want, now I'm hearing that they want to put the parking back on Wyandotte Street. That's been the request of those residents there in that business district for how long? Since I've been coming to this council. I'm asking for that to happen for them. Why all of a sudden? Is it for economic reasons or what else? Who has the upper hand here? Yous or the administration? Or the administration yous? Abide by what you do, is my say to yous. You made the law, let them follow it. Don't make nobody make a laughing stock out of you. I was going to say something else. It's ridiculous. You use a legislative branch here and it don't make no sense. It's just like, you know, they don't abide by use at all. Goes out on paper and out the door. That's ridiculous. Don't make yourselves look like fools.
Mr. Burnett?
Back to you.
Mr. Burnett, just?
Albert Hess, 1004 Johnson Drive. Just three quick comments, one about Mr. Fazil, one about right to know. I'm trying not to get the mic. Hopefully this will help. One about Mr. Fazil, one about right to know, and one about Elias Market. With regard to Mr. Fazil, which originally I didn't plan to say anything about it, and I don't have an opinion one way or the other about how the council went last week. That was the council's decision. He is in my neighborhood, and frankly, I thought that would have been a benefit, but that's the council's discretion. It just brings up a point that the mayor appoints all these board members, and council has advice and consent, and it would be very nice to see other people get nominated beside only by the mayor, number one, and number two, it would be very nice if those folks would come in here as they do in Congress, maybe we're not Congress, and have a Q&A right here in front of the public. Let council ask the nominees for each one of these boards questions so the public understands their background and why they should be or should not be on a board. Ultimately, the decision is yours. We never hear anything. All we know is the mayor nominates them, you approve them, they could be from the moon. So that's number one. Number two, right to know. I made a request of the city for some right to know information. I was politely rebuffed. That's the way it goes. So I got onto the state website and looked for a right to know form. And it says direct the right to know request to the right to know officer of the city. I called today and I couldn't find the name of the right to know officer. Maybe the council can tell me who, well, I never got an answer out of the administration.
I believe it's Mr. Spur,
Mr. Cooper.
Solicitor's Office.
That's the answer I got, solicitor's office. I don't want to run out of time.
Mr. Cooper.
Is there a particular name who is the right to know
Mr.
officer?
Cooper.